AITA for not wanting to invite a lifelong friend to my wedding. Hey everyone, I am new to Reddit and need your advice. I am sorry, it is going to be a little bit of a longer text. Since the age of 5, I, 25 female, have been in a friend group consisting of Anne, 27 female, Laura, 26 female, and Judith, 27 female. My mom is and was close friends with the mother of Anne, so we always were meeting up and even went on vacation together throughout the years. The problem was, and still is, that I never really felt close to Anne. She is somebody who needs the attention of people, needs to be the life of the party. I, however, was a shy little girl, and still am an introverted person. I just like to not be around many people and have my quiet time. In hindsight, Anne always loved to be the older person of the both of us, and kinda liked controlling me. Sometimes she seemed to care, but afterwards it all was about her. She always got what she wanted. Whenever I shared secrets with her, like you do with a friend, it quickly was no secret anymore. She always had this overwhelming confidence. When I got together with my fiancé, she wanted us to meet for a pool party. She got naked in front of him and jumped into the pool. I think you get the idea of her. As our friend group got older, we split up to all go to different states for university. Anne was the only one who stayed in our hometown. I really liked to be away and finally do what I wanted to do, discover myself, find new friends. 2 years passing, Anne called me and told me she was getting married. It was a surprise, as she had a new boyfriend every few months. She wanted Judith and me to be her maids of honor. She wanted it to be the two us, because we were living far away, and as two people, we were able to plan things better. I was 21 at the time, and really didn't want to be a maid of honor with all the responsibility and time I had to invest. It was only because of Judith that I said yes. I will just quickly summarize. Judith at one point wasn't a maid of honor anymore, and I had to do everything by myself. I even called Anne one day and told her I don't want to be the maid the honor, as I have to deal with university and am living far away. Honestly, we were not even good friends by then. Anne cried, and I ended up still being the maid of honor. Anne told everyone at the wedding that I was her best friend. I have no idea why. Everything was shit for me. I couldn't do a good job as a maid of honor, and I do not want to be friends with Anne anymore. We did not get into a fight or something. I just decided it silently for myself, because I hate confrontation like this. As I got older, I just realized how badly she treated me every time, and that I didn't feel safe around her or to share private things with her. I just decided to go no contact. After university, I moved to a different city. It still is far away from my hometown. Anne texted me one time to meet up, but I kindly turned down the offer. My mom told me she knows from Anne's mother that Anne is very sad, not in a good place mentally, and always complains about having no friends. I think she wants us to get into contact again, but I really do not want to. I mean, Anne does not make any moves in calling or texting me either, so why should I? Laura and I have remained best friends over the years. We call each other weekly, text, and are just curious about the life of the other. We visit each other, and I really just like this friendship. I'd call her my best friend. Judith and I are still friends too. We just do not text frequently or see each other often, but still I see her as my friend. Fast and forward, my fiancé, 26 male, and I are getting married next year. I am so excited and get into planning now. Laura is going to be my maid of honor. The wedding party is supposed to be in my parents' garden, so in my old hometown. As I am, my fiancé is an introvert too, and we just like it quiet. So our wedding ceremony is going to be very intimate and private. I just want close family and Laura with us that day. For the little party afterwards, I want to invite a few of my school friends from my hometown. I do not want to invite Anne. Now here is the problem. My mom really wants me to invite Anne. mainly because she is friends with Anne's mom and doesn't want the friendship to break over this, but also because Anne invited me to her wedding. As I did not break off the friendship with Anne, just decided this in silence for myself, I kind of feel weird not inviting her. She would be so sad and mad, and I am a people pleaser. Ugh, it sounds stupid. If I would invite her, I know this would be all about herself. Her husband is an attention seeker too, so it kinda would be about the two of them. I just don't want people like this in my life anymore. My mom would be mad, and even my fiancé tells me if I want to invite my other friends for the party, I should invite Anne too. They say either I make it an only family party, or if I want to invite friends, I have to invite Anne too. Now I feel like I cannot invite who I want to my wedding just because of Anne. What should I do? AITA. If I do not invite her, update. As soon as I was reciting my original post, put all my thoughts into these words, I realized how I always felt about Anne. If it would be a wedding of over 100 guests, I'd probably invite her. She won't be the main character there. But as it will be small and intimate, I cannot invite her. The friendship that was never a friendship is over. I will tell her if she wants to know, but I do not feel like I have to contact her after we haven't been in contact for years, just to tell her that it's over. After I read all your comments, I called my mom. I told her that I won't invite Anne to my wedding. At first she was like, "Oh, what's the big deal? Just invite her. You can break it off after the wedding." Anne's mom will be so upset about it. And Anne really isn't feeling well because she feels like she doesn't have any friends. But when I told her what I put into words here, she actually was understanding. She is okay with me not inviting her, but told me there will be drama with Anne's mother. I think it is their friendship, and it does nothing have to do with the relationship I have with Anne. Mom told me that at one point she will mention the wedding to Anne's mom, and I am totally okay with it. If Anne will contact me about it, which I actually doubt, I will tell her what's going on. I am really fine with my decision and stand by it. Thank you, Reddit. If there is more drama coming up, I'll update. Hi, everyone. Thank you for your patience. A wedding is a long process of planning, so I hadn't anything to update you about until recently. My wedding is in July 2025. We sent out the invitations in January. No invitation for Anne. I really am very thankful of all the advice you have given me. I even talked to Judith and Laura about it and showed them my Reddit post. They both were totally agreeing with me and even said that I was way too nice in my description of Anne. Yeah, things happened in the past, and both of them cut contact to Anne a while ago. There was no clean cut. I guess Anne didn't want Konak to them either anymore. My mother tried to talk to me several times about me not inviting Anne. Anne's mom, let's call her Susan, apparently would always tell her that Anne feels so alone. I made up my mind and would repeat myself to my mom. She still doesn't understand why I would invite Laura and Judith and not poor Anne. But I feel totally okay with it. So 2 weeks ago, my mom told me that she had to tell Anne's mom, Susan, that I am getting married. She couldn't keep it any longer from her, as she is her best friend. Okay, I told her she should keep it from Susan as long as possible, and I guess that was as long as possible for her. I was curious of how the next events would turn out. 1 week later, I got a text from Anne. She hadn't texted me in years and suddenly was like, "Hi, how are you doing?" We all know why she texted me, and I know what she really wants to ask. Not how I am doing, but why she wasn't invited to my wedding. Shocking. I replied to her that I am doing well. Then she said, I would be so happy if we could meet up soon. We could even bring our men. I thought a lot about the words I would reply. In summary, I texted her that we haven't been in contact for several years, and we just grew apart. Things like this happen, and I think it's okay the way it is. I do not want to meet up now or sometime in the future, and wish her all the best. She replied, very grown up. She accepts my decision. But you have to know, she always behaved like that. She was always very good in playing so innocent, saying sorry so much, would look at you with eyes of a puppy dog, and everyone would melt away and feel sorry about themselves. I left it at that and didn't reply any further. I love how there is finally an end, an absolute end, and she knows it. I told my mom right after her text what happened because I counted on Susan to call my mom and yell at her. My mother was so sad. She asked me if I couldn't tell Anne that I didn't have time to meet up soon and not cancel the whole friendship. These are just comments from my mom I had to learn to ignore. I told her for the thousandth time that I didn't want to be friends with Anne, but I just think she doesn't really want to understand. She's not mad at me, though. She accepts it, but there will be more comments about it, I bet. So, Susan called my mom yesterday. She wasn't yelling, just telling her what Anne has told her. Anne supposedly is so sad that I canceled the friendship. For years, we had no contact, and she still is sad. What did she expect? My mom and Susan are still friends. I guess Susan will just tell my mom every time they talk how sad Anne is. But yeah, that's the update. I guess it wasn't much drama, but that's good. I am feeling good and am excited about the wedding. Thank you, everyone, for the advice. I appreciate it a lot. My parents are distraught that I'm getting married. I, 23 male, have been together with my fiancé, 22 female, for almost 5 years now, engaged since January 2023, and she's the first person I've ever had a romantic relationship with. We're planning on getting married in summer 2025 after my fiancé finishes her teaching credential. Background. For the entirety of our relationship, my parents have made little to no effort in getting to know my fiancé. The only time she was invited to our home was when she offered to take care of me the day I got my wisdom tooth surgery. To this day, they haven't made any attempt to meet her parents despite all the invitations they've extended to my parents. On the other hand, my fiancé's parents have welcomed me with open arms. I met them 6 months into our relationship and have consistently invited me to dinners, vacations, and holidays. They even let me live with them while I finished my degree because of the toll my family dynamic was having on my mental well-being, the conflict between me and my parents. Ever since I told them I was planning on proposing, they repetitively tell me that I'm making a monumental mistake choosing to marry her. What usually comes up is how I'm too young and that I should date more people before committing to someone. They even try to gaslight me with conspiracies of why she's marrying me, saying things like, her parents might be coercing you with their wealth to marry their daughter. She's just using you to live out her fairy tale wedding. And you just give her everything she wants, and as soon as you stop, she'll leave. Every time I ask them to back up any of these things, they always respond with, you just don't see it. Also, because my parents are Catholic, they are upset that I live with and have sex with someone who I'm not married to, and that her parents are okay with it. It's almost always brought up whenever they try to deface my fiancé and her family. How I'm handling this right now. What confuses me the most is that my parents, through everything else, have always been supportive of me. They always tell me that they love me and that they want what's best for me. Our dynamic has improved drastically since I was in college, and I enjoy coming home to visit them. This makes me feel so conflicted because I love my parents, but I can't help but feel manipulated and betrayed by the way they talk about my fiancé and her family. My fiancé is my best friend, and I love her like no one else. I couldn't care less that she's the only romantic partner I've ever been with, because I don't want anyone else. We respect each other, we trust each other, we want what's best for each other, and we communicate everything with each other. Her family is no different. They treat me like family and love me like their own son. What frustrates me the most is that my fiancé and her family are some of the best people I've ever known in my life. And if my parents just made an effort to meet them, they'd see how wonderful they are. At this point, I've given up trying to reason with my father on this because he doesn't even listen to what I have to say. So I've been trying to help my mother understand what my fiancé means to me and what I see in her. Even though she seems to listen and think about what I say, she'll revert back to the same mentality within a week. In the most recent conversation I had with my mother about my wedding, she told me that the thought of me marrying my fiancé makes her feel distraught. And that makes me sick. How I feel about the future. Despite everything, I still want my parents to be part of my future. Although I resent my parents for putting me in this position, the thought of losing them over this is equally devastating to me. Nevertheless, part of me wants to quit trying and let my parents isolate themselves from my future, but my fiancé and her family still want my parents to be part of our marriage and our future, despite everything my parents have said about them. As I begin planning my wedding with my fiancé and her family, this eats at me every single day. Part of me feels like I haven't tried hard enough to change my parents' perspective to justify cutting them out of my future. So I keep trying. At the same time, every day I spend with my family makes me feel guilty for loving people who say and feel such heinous things about my soon-to-be wife and in-laws. I don't know what to do. Update. Shortly after I made the original post, I decided to set a boundary with my parents. I told them that I couldn't continue to tolerate their baseless attacks on my fiancé and her family, and that until they were willing to put in some effort to change their perspective, I would be halting any and all contact with them for the sake of our own peace and happiness. Understandably, my mom was distraught to hear this from me. My dad didn't really acknowledge it. My grandma, Mom's side, continued to help me reconsider the way I was handling this, because my mom was having a really hard time dealing with this. After about a month of no contact, my fiancé and I tried to reevaluate the situation and agreed that it would only be healthy to pull back the boundary for my mom if she was willing to approach my relationship with an open mind. These were our expectations. 1. My mom had to get together with my fiancé and I. 2. My fiancé had to be openly invited to family events. 3. My mom had to meet my fiancé's mom. Over the course of about 6 months, my mom was able to meet all of these. My mom and my fiancé were getting along superbly well, beyond what I expected. My fiancé was coming to family gatherings, and my extended family thought she was lovely, as I expected because she's awesome. And we had a lunch where my mom got to meet my fiancé's mom. Despite everyone being pretty nervous, that also went very well. Through all of this, despite my mom feeling a bit better about my fiancé, she has been slow in coming around to the idea of me getting married. She's made a lot of progress, though, so it's something we've been understanding of. The only thing left to do was to get my dad on board. I knew that would be tough from the get-go, but I was expecting my mom to help guide his perspective as she developed her own. With 2.5 months until the wedding, I decided to visit my parents and touch base with my dad about how he's feeling in terms of my relationship and getting married. I communicated to him that even if he wasn't fully on board yet, filling the gap with trust instead of fear would be the healthiest thing for everyone, including himself, and that we wanted everyone to celebrate with us on the day we got married. He was quiet and clearly holding back anger. My mom decided to try and communicate his concerns to me, and we got into a bit of a heated discussion. I reiterated the fact that they would never truly know everything that was going on in my relationship, and that the only way for our family to stay strong was to fill the gaps with trust, not with fear. When I added that I learned this from my therapist, that's when my dad snapped. He told me therapists don't care about anyone, and that the one and only therapist he went to compared him to Satan. I tried to be respectful, But he just cut me off and began going on a tirade, which was as arguably worse than any conversation we had in the past about my relationship. You can probably guess how the conversation went, so I'll just lay out some of the crazy shit he said. I was a moron when I was 24, and believe me, so are you. You don't have a clue what you're doing. You two have had it easy being together during and since COVID. You didn't have enough hardship to test the relationship. You both never had other options. I don't know her parents, and I don't care to ever know them. As you can probably guess, I was furious. I was about to walk out, but I decided to try one last thing. I told my dad about a time I had made my brother feel bad about how he wasn't doing enough to better his life and his mental illness. I told my dad that even though I was coming from a place of love, I was hurting my brother, and that I apologized dearly to my brother when I realized this, because all I could do to help was be there for him and be optimistic for his future. Unbelievably, my dad decided to start guilt-tripping me about how I made my brother feel, and the whole message went right over his head. At that moment, a light bulb went off in my head. I always knew my dad was a narcissist, but I never really knew it until now. All his life, he had emotionally manipulated and scorned everyone in his life whenever they tried to confront him on something he did wrong. I was wasting my time, my emotional well-being, and harming my relationship, all for nothing. I got up, grabbed my keys, opened the door, and said, "Mom, if you want to come to the wedding, come to the wedding. Dad, I hope that the next time I see you is when you're in a fucking casket." I slammed the door with the intention of breaking it, walked out to my car, and dipped. Right after, I went to my fiancé's parents' house, where my fiancé and her mom were drinking wine and having fun. I tried to pretend everything way all right, so I didn't ruin their night. But my fiancé read right through me, and I broke down. I told them my dad wasn't allowed to come to the wedding anymore, and I told them everything that happened. My fiancé's parents felt so horrible for me. They consoled and reassured me that I was, like a son to them, and that they have always been so happy their daughter has a guy like me. Despite how awful these last few days have been, my fiancé and I have never been stronger. I told her that I was putting her first, and that it was time for us to look forward to this wedding and the future we're building together. I told her that I am not going to let anyone treat her like this anymore, and that we didn't need anyone's permission to choose the life we set out to build together. My therapist has been helping me to heal and grow from this in the best way possible. I am cutting ties with my dad, and I am sticking to it. Not out of the hatred I felt that day, but out of the compassion and respect I have for my soon-to-be wife and soon-to-be in-laws. If he wants to make amends, then it's how TM's on him to do that, not me. My fiancé is my soulmate. We are and will continue to be happier than we've ever been by continuing to respect, love, and support each other till the very end. And we aren't going to slow up for anyone who doesn't see or want the same for us.